Alexander Chen had imagined this day 1,000 times. Standing at the altar in his custom-made suit, the crystal chandeliers sparkling above, 500 guests watching from velvet-covered chairs. Everything was perfect. Everything was planned. His company's stock would soar after this marriage. His parents would finally stop calling him irresponsible, and Victoria Martinez would become his wife. He adjusted his tie for the third time. The orchestra began playing and his heart raced. Not from love, if he was honest with himself. More from the weight of what this day meant. A merger between two of the most powerful families in the country, his tech empire combined with her family's global reach. It made sense on every level except the one that actually mattered. The double doors at the back of the Grand Riverside Hotel ballroom swung open. Alexander straightened, forcing his practiced smile into place. And then his smile faltered. The bride walking toward him looked like Victoria. Same height, same dark hair swept up in an elegant style, same dress they'd spent months choosing. But something was completely wrong. She was walking too slowly, almost stumbling. Her bouquet shook in her hands, and the way she held her head, the nervous dart of her eyes toward the guests. None of it was Victoria's usual confident stride. Alexander's best friend Tom, standing beside him as best man, leaned in. "Is it just me or does she look terrified?" "Victoria doesn't get terrified," Alexander whispered back. But even as he said it, doubt crept through his mind. The woman reached the altar and Alexander found himself staring. Up close, the differences became obvious. A small scar above her right eyebrow that Victoria didn't have. Eyes that seemed softer, more vulnerable. The way she bit her lip when she looked at him, apologetic and confused. "Victoria," he said quietly. Before she could answer, chaos erupted at the back of the room. "Stop! Stop the wedding!" Every head turned. Another woman burst through the doors and Alexander's world tilted sideways. She wore an identical wedding dress, though slightly disheveled. Her hair was coming loose from the same elegant style, and her face was an exact mirror of the bride standing beside him. Victoria. The real Victoria. And she looked absolutely furious. "What is she doing here?" Victoria's voice cut through the stunned silence as she marched down the aisle. "What is she doing in my dress?" The woman beside Alexander started trembling. "Vicky, I can explain." "I thought—" "Don't call me that," Victoria snapped. She reached the altar and turned to the guests, her smile sharp and controlled despite her obvious anger. "Ladies and gentlemen, it seems there's been a rather embarrassing mix-up. This is my sister. My twin sister, who apparently can't tell one hotel from another." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Alexander stared between the two women. Twins. Victoria had never mentioned having a twin sister. In 8 months of engagement, countless dinners with her family, planning sessions and meetings, no one had said a word about a sister. The other woman, the one who'd walked down the aisle, looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. "I'm so sorry. I got the invitation and I thought the hotel coordinator saw me in the lobby and just assumed. I tried to tell them something was wrong. But everyone kept pushing me forward and—" "Enough," Victoria said coldly. She looked at Alexander. "Can we please remove her so we can start the actual wedding?" Alexander should have agreed immediately. Should have laughed it off. Let someone escort the sister away and married Victoria as planned. His shareholders were watching. His parents were in the third row. Victoria's father, whose business approval he needed, sat stone-faced in the front. But something stopped him. In the few minutes this woman had stood beside him, he'd seen more genuine emotion than Victoria had shown in months. Fear, yes, but also hope when she'd first arrived. Embarrassment now. And something else. A deep sadness in her eyes when Victoria refused to use her nickname. "Wait," Alexander heard himself say. He turned to the woman. "What's your name?" She looked surprised that he'd asked. Lily Martinez." "Lily," Victoria said dismissively. "Yes, that's her. Now can we— How long has it been since you've seen your sister?" Alexander asked Lily, ignoring Victoria's sharp intake of breath. Lily's voice came out barely above a whisper. 5 years. 5 years, Alexander repeated, looking at Victoria. "You haven't seen your twin sister in 5 years and you never thought to mention her?" Victoria's perfect composure cracked slightly. "It's complicated, Alexander. Family matters that have nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us." Lily's voice grew stronger, hurt flooding through. "I'm your sister, Vicky. I came here because Mom said you wanted me at your wedding. She said you wanted to make things right. Mom had no business telling you that, Victoria said through gritted teeth. You made your choice 5 years ago when you walked away from this family. The guests were leaning forward now, whispering behind hands and phones. Alexander could see the social media posts being typed already. This would be everywhere within the hour. He made a decision that surprised even himself. Everyone, Alexander said loudly, his voice carrying through the ballroom. I apologize, but there's been an unexpected situation. We need to postpone the ceremony. Victoria whirled on him. What? Just for a moment. Please, everyone remain seated. There's been a misunderstanding that needs to be resolved. He gestured to Tom and the wedding planner. Can someone find a private room? The wedding planner, a woman who'd coordinated events for presidents and celebrities without blinking, looked completely lost. But she nodded and scurried off. Victoria grabbed Alexander's arm, her nails digging in through his suit jacket. What are you doing? We have 500 guests waiting. My father's business associates, your investors, are all watching me treat your long-lost sister like an inconvenience, Alexander said quietly. How do you think that looks? He didn't wait for her answer. Instead, he turned to Lily, who looked ready to bolt. Please don't leave. I think we need to understand what happened here. Lily shook her head, tears starting to stream down her face, ruining the makeup someone had hastily applied. I should never have come. I'm so sorry. I'll just go. You showed up at your sister's wedding, Alexander said gently. That took courage. The least we can do is hear you out. Victoria's eyes flashed dangerously, but she couldn't protest without looking heartless in front of everyone. The wedding planner returned, gesturing toward a side door. As they walked off the altar, Alexander caught his mother's eye in the audience. She looked concerned but gave him a small nod. His father, on the other hand, appeared ready to have a heart attack. The private room turned out to be a small library off the main ballroom. Leather chairs, walls lined with books, and blessedly quiet. Lily stood by the window, hugging herself. Victoria stood as far from her as possible, arms crossed. Alexander remained near the door, suddenly feeling like he was seeing his fiancée clearly for the first time. So, he said, someone want to explain what's really going on here? The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush them all. And in that moment, Alexander realized that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. The perfect wedding he'd planned, the perfect merger everyone expected, the perfect life he'd been building. It was all built on something that suddenly seemed very fragile. Lily took a shaky breath. And when she started talking, the truth began to unravel everything Alexander thought he knew. Lily's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd spent 5 years building a new life, trying to forget the world she'd left behind. And now here she was, standing in an expensive hotel room, facing the sister who'd once been her best friend and the billionaire who was supposed to marry her. I didn't mean to crash your wedding, Lily started, her voice steadier than she felt. Mom called me 3 weeks ago. She said you wanted to talk, Vicky, that you wanted me here. Victoria let out a harsh laugh. Of course she did. Mom never could accept that you chose to embarrass this family. I chose to have principles, Lily shot back, old anger flaring up. There's a difference. Alexander held up his hand. Wait, back up. Why haven't you two spoken in 5 years? What happened? The sisters looked at each other, years of hurt and resentment filling the space between them. Finally, Lily spoke. I found out what our family business really does, not the glossy version they show investors. The real version, she turned to Alexander. 5 years ago, I was working in the company, being groomed to take over part of the operations like Victoria. They sent me on an inspection tour of our overseas facilities, and what I saw, she closed her eyes, the memory still painful. Factories where people worked 16-hour days for barely enough to survive. Children who should have been in school making luxury goods, safety violations everywhere. When I came back and told my father told Victoria, they said it was just business. That's how things worked. That everyone did it, that's not fair, Victoria said, but her voice lacked conviction. It's more complicated than that, is it? Lily challenged. I gave you all a choice. Change the practices or I walk away. You chose the money. Alexander felt something cold settle in his stomach. He'd done business with the Martinez family for 2 years. Had he been funding those same practices? He'd never thought to look that closely. After all, they were respected, powerful, legitimate. So you just left? He asked Lily. I did more than leave. I became a social worker. I've spent 5 years helping the same people my family exploited. Immigrant families, workers with no rights, people the system chews up and spits out. Lily's voice grew passionate. I live in a tiny apartment in Queens. I make $38,000 a year. And I sleep better than I ever did in the family mansion, Victoria scoffed. How noble and self-righteous. At least I didn't sell my soul for stock options, Lily retorted. Enough, Alexander said, his mind racing. He looked at Victoria, really looked at her. Is what she's saying true? About the factories? Victoria's expression turned cold and calculating. Alexander, you're a businessman. You know how the world works. We operate within the law. If you start questioning every supply chain, every contractor, you'd never do business with anyone. It wasn't a denial. That was what struck him hardest. It wasn't a denial. Why didn't you tell me you had a sister? He asked quietly. Because she's not part of my life anymore, Victoria said. She made that choice. I saw no reason to dwell on it. Alexander walked to the window, looking out at the gardens where, in another timeline, he and Victoria would be taking wedding photos right now. Everything looked beautiful from up here. Perfect and pristine. What hotel were you supposed to go to? He asked Lily. The Grand Riverside Gardens. It's across town. I'd never been to either place, and when the driver dropped me off at the Grand Riverside, I just assumed this was it. I was so nervous about seeing Victoria again that I didn't question it. Lily laughed bitterly. The coordinator saw me in the lobby in my dress, panicking, and just took over. Kept saying we were running late, that everyone was waiting. I tried to explain, but she wasn't listening. Before I knew it, I was walking down an aisle, and then you saw me, Victoria finished, and didn't have the courage to stop it. I froze, Lily admitted. I know I should have stopped, should have screamed or run or something. But when I saw all those people and I thought maybe you'd actually wanted me there, I couldn't move. A knock on the door made them all jump. Tom stuck his head in, his expression worried. Alex, man, we've got a situation. The guests are getting restless. Your dad's about to blow a gasket, and, he glanced at his phone. This is already trending on social media. Someone live-streamed the whole twin bride thing. Alexander's jaw tightened. Of course they did. Privacy was a myth when you had money and cameras were everywhere. Tell everyone to go to the reception hall. Open the bar. We'll make an announcement in 20 minutes. Tom nodded and disappeared. Victoria immediately turned on Alexander. An announcement? What announcement? We're getting married, Alexander. This was a ridiculous interruption, but I need time to think, Alexander said. And he was surprised by how calm his voice sounded when inside he felt like his entire world was shifting. Think about what? Victoria demanded. She's a disgraced family member who couldn't even find the right hotel. This changes nothing about us, but it did. Alexander couldn't explain it, but it did. In the 8 months he'd known Victoria, she'd been perfect. Perfect appearance, perfect manners, perfect business sense. He'd convinced himself that love would grow, that partnership was more important than passion, that building an empire together mattered more than emotional connection. Then this woman, Victoria's mirror image but completely different in every way that mattered, had walked down the aisle. And in 5 minutes she'd shown more genuine feeling than Victoria had in 8 months. Why did you come today? Alexander asked Lily. Really? After 5 years of silence, why show up now? Lily's eyes filled with tears again. Because she's my sister. Because no matter what happened, no matter how much we've hurt each other, I missed her. When Mom said Victoria wanted to reconcile, wanted me at the wedding, I drove 12 hours to get here. I used money I'd saved for 3 months to buy a dress because I thought... Her voice broke. I thought maybe we could be sisters again. Victoria's expression flickered. For just a second, Alexander saw something that might have been pain or regret, but it vanished quickly, replaced by her usual control. Well, as you can see, it was a mistake, Victoria said. Mom had no right to interfere. You should go back to your little apartment and your little life. Victoria, Alexander said sharply. She's your sister. She was my sister. Now she's just someone who shares my DNA. Victoria picked up her phone. I'm going to salvage this wedding. We're going to walk back out there, make some joke about wedding day jitters and surprise family reunions, and get married as planned. The story will be strange but ultimately romantic. My PR team can spin it. She headed for the door, but Alexander didn't follow. Victoria turned back, irritation crossing her face. Alexander, come on. We have 500 people waiting. Tell them to go home, Alexander said. The room went dead silent. Victoria stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "Excuse me. Tell them the wedding is postponed. I'm not getting married today." Alexander's heart pounded, but his voice stayed steady. He was terrified and exhilarated at the same time, like jumping off a cliff and finally spreading wings he didn't know he had. Victoria's face went pale, then red. "You can't be serious. Do you have any idea what this will cost? The social embarrassment? The business deals that depend on this marriage?" "Deals that depend on us merging families probably aren't deals I should be making," Alexander said. He was realizing things as he said them, truths he'd been avoiding for months. "I won't marry someone who treats their sister like an inconvenience. I won't build an empire on the backs of exploited workers, and I won't commit my life to someone I don't actually love." The last words hung in the air like a bomb. Victoria's shock turned to cold fury. "You're making the biggest mistake of your life. My father will pull out of every deal. Your company will lose 40% of its value overnight. And for what? A moment of conscience? A wedding day crisis? Maybe," Alexander said. "But I'd rather lose money than lose myself." Victoria looked between him and Lily, and something ugly twisted her features. "This is her fault. You've known her for 10 minutes and she's already poisoning you against me." "She didn't do anything except tell the truth," Alexander said. "That's what's really bothering you, isn't it? That someone finally said what you've been pretending doesn't exist?" Victoria's hands clenched into fists. "You'll regret this, Alexander. Both of you will regret this." She stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the books on the shelves. Alexander and Lily stood in the sudden silence, both slightly stunned by what had just happened. Lily spoke first. "You didn't have to do that. You don't even know me." "No," Alexander agreed. "But I know what's right. And marrying your sister, wasn't it?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I think I've known for a while. I just didn't want to admit I'd made a mistake." "A very expensive mistake from the sound of it," Lily said quietly. Alexander laughed, and it felt good. Genuine. "Money comes and goes. I'll rebuild. But I couldn't live with myself if I'd gone through with that wedding." Lily moved toward the door. "I should go. I've caused enough trouble." "Wait." Alexander surprised himself again. "Do you have somewhere to stay tonight? You drove 12 hours. You must be exhausted. I'll find something. A budget hotel, or stay here. The room is already paid for, and it's the least I can do after your sister." He stopped. "I'm sorry. About how she treated you." Lily's smile was sad. "She wasn't always like that. When we were kids, we were inseparable. But somewhere along the way, she chose the empire over everything else, including me." "That must have hurt," Alexander said. "Every single day," Lily admitted. They stood there, two strangers connected by the strangest circumstance, and Alexander felt something he hadn't felt in years. Possibility. Like his life had just cracked open and light was pouring in. "I should go face the crowd," he said, "and my very angry father, and probably several lawyers." "Good luck," Lily said sincerely. As Alexander reached the door, he turned back. "Lily, thank you for showing up at the wrong wedding. I think it might have been the luckiest wrong turn either of us ever made." Then he walked out to face the chaos, his canceled wedding and a future that suddenly felt completely uncertain but infinitely more honest. The next morning, Alexander woke up to 17 missed calls, 43 text messages, and his face on the front page of every business publication in the country. "Billionaire dumps bride at altar," read one headline. "Chen wedding disaster costs millions," screamed another. His personal favorite was "Twin sister scandal rocks Martinez Chen empire." He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of his penthouse apartment, and waited for the panic to hit. The regret, the fear of what he'd just done to his company, his reputation, his carefully built life. Nothing came except relief. His phone buzzed again. His mother this time, he answered. "Before you say anything," Alexander started. "I'm proud of you," his mother said. Alexander sat up in shock. "What?" "Your father is furious, of course. He's been on the phone with lawyers all night. But I'm proud of you, Alexander. I've watched you become more miserable every day for the past 8 months. You thought I didn't notice, but mothers always notice." Alexander felt his throat tighten. "I didn't know what else to do." "You did the right thing. It was messy in public and expensive, but it was right." She paused. "Now, Are you going to tell me about the other sister, or do I have to read about her in the tabloids like everyone else? There's nothing to tell, Alexander said. She showed up at the wrong hotel by mistake. That's all. His mother said in that tone that meant she didn't believe him for a second. Well, when there is something to tell, I'd like to meet her properly. Anyone who can make you finally stand up for yourself deserves at least a dinner invitation. After they hung up, Alexander made himself coffee and faced the avalanche of consequences. His business partner had sent a 17-page email outlining the financial damage. His father had sent a one-line text. "Call me when you're ready to fix this mess." Victoria's father had released a statement expressing deep disappointment and confirming that all business partnerships were terminated. Immediately, Alexander's company stock had indeed dropped 40%. Years of work gone overnight, and he still felt lighter than he had in months. There was a knock at his door. Tom walked in without waiting for an answer, carrying bagels and looking exhausted. "You look terrible," Alexander said. "I spent the night fielding calls from reporters. Your dad and Victoria's very expensive lawyers." Tom dropped into a chair. "Please tell me you have a plan." "Rebuild," Alexander said simply. "Do it right this time. No shortcuts, no questionable partnerships. Build something I can actually be proud of." Tom stared at him. "You're serious. Completely. You know what Victoria's saying, right? That Lily seduced you. That it was all a scheme to destroy her wedding. That she's always been jealous." Tom pulled up an article on his phone. "She's doing a full media blitz, making Lily look like the villain." Alexander's jaw tightened. "That's not what happened. I know that. You know that. But the world doesn't know that. And Victoria has a very expensive PR team making sure her version spreads fast." Tom leaned forward. "Alex, Lily's going to get destroyed by this. She's just a social worker. She doesn't have lawyers or publicists or—" "Where is she?" Alexander interrupted. "Is she still at the hotel?" "I don't know. Last I heard, she checked out early this morning. Probably wanted to escape before the media circus found her." Alexander was already grabbing his keys. "Find her. Please, Tom, use whatever resources you need. I can't let Victoria ruin her life because I called off a wedding." Tom grinned. Now there's the Alexander I used to know. The one who actually cared about people instead of just stock prices. He pulled out his phone. "Give me an hour." It took 45 minutes. Tom found Lily at a diner near the Queen's border, sitting alone with a cup of coffee and what looked like her entire life packed into 2 suitcases beside her booth. Alexander walked in, and she looked up with red-rimmed eyes. She'd been crying. "You shouldn't be here," Lily said. "The press will see you with me and make things worse." "Let them," Alexander said, sliding into the booth across from her. "Have you seen what Victoria's saying about you?" "Every word," Lily said bitterly. "According to the internet, I'm a jealous, unstable, gold-digging sister who deliberately sabotaged her twins' wedding out of spite. There are pictures of me from 5 years ago at family events, people analyzing my body language, claiming they could see the resentment even back then. It's everywhere, and we'll fight it. We'll tell the truth." "The truth?" Lily laughed harshly. "The truth is that I'm nobody. Victoria is somebody. People will believe her because that's how the world works. The powerful always win." "Not always," Alexander said. "I have resources too. Lawyers, PR people." "Stop," Lily said firmly. "You've already lost 40% of your company because of me. I'm not letting you spend more money fighting a battle we can't win. I'm going back to my life. I'll move if I have to, change my name, wait for people to forget. It's not like I haven't started over before. Is that really what you want? To just disappear?" Lily's eyes filled with tears again. "What I want doesn't matter. Look at you. You're a billionaire even with the stock drop. You live in a world I'll never understand. And my sister," her voice broke. "My sister hates me enough to destroy my reputation just for revenge. What am I supposed to do with that?" Alexander reached across the table and took her hand. She looked surprised but didn't pull away. "Come work with me," he said. "What?" "I'm rebuilding my company. Doing it ethically this time. I need someone who understands the human cost of business decisions. Someone who's actually worked with the communities we affect. Someone who won't let me take shortcuts." He squeezed her hand. "Come work with me. Help me build something good." "That's crazy," Lily said. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. I know you walked away from wealth and comfort because of your principles. I know you've spent 5 years helping people instead of exploiting them. I know you're brave enough to show up at your estranged sister's wedding hoping for reconciliation. He smiled. That's more than I knew about Victoria after 8 months of engagement. People will say I'm using you, that I manipulated everything to get close to you. Let them say it. We'll prove them wrong by doing actual good in the world. Alexander felt more certain about this than he'd felt about anything in years. Please, Lily, I'm offering you a job. Not a relationship. Professional. Appropriate. You can live wherever you want, work normal hours, and finally use your experience to make changes at a scale you can't achieve alone. Lily studied his face, searching for something. Why are you really doing this? Because yesterday, for 5 minutes, I stood next to someone real, and it reminded me that I've been living a fake life for years. I want to fix that. He meant every word, and because I think we could do something important together. Change the way business gets done. Actually help people instead of just pretending to in press releases. The waitress came by with more coffee, eyeing Alexander with recognition, but politely saying nothing. When she left, Lily spoke quietly. I make $38,000 a year. I'll pay you whatever's fair for the position, market rate, nothing more. This isn't charity, it's business. And when people say I slept my way into the job, we'll have HR document everything. Professional boundaries, and honestly, Alexander leaned back. Anyone who thinks you're the villain in this story didn't pay attention. You showed up at a wedding hoping to reconcile with your sister. Victoria's the one who couldn't spare 5 minutes of compassion for her own twin. Lily was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, I need to think about it. Take all the time you need, but while you're thinking, stay somewhere safe. The media is going to come looking for you. He wrote an address on a napkin. This is my mother's guest house. She specifically asked to meet you. You'll be safe there and it's private. No cameras, no reporters. I can't impose on your mother. You'd actually be doing me a favor. She's been nagging me for years to date someone substantial. You're exactly the kind of person she'd approve of. He grinned. Plus, she makes the best soup you'll ever taste, and she'll interrogate you less than any hotel staff would. Despite everything, Lily smiled. A real smile that transformed her face. You're very persistent. I've been told it's one of my few good qualities. Alexander stood up. Think about it. The job offer stands regardless of anything else. And Lily, I'm sorry about what Victoria's doing. She's wrong, and eventually people will see that. He left money for the coffee and walked out, knowing that every camera outside would capture him leaving a diner with the woman the internet had decided was a homewrecker. Let them. He was done living for other people's approval. His phone rang before he reached his car. An unknown number. He answered. Mr. Chen, this is Rebecca Wu from the Times. I'm doing a piece on the wedding incident and wanted to get your side of the story. No comment, Alexander started to say, but she interrupted. I've been looking into the Martinez family business practices, following up on some allegations about their overseas operations. I think the public deserves to know what really happened 5 years ago when Lily Martinez left the company. She paused. I think her story is the real story here, not the wedding drama. Alexander's heart started racing. What did you find? Enough to know that Victoria Martinez isn't the victim she's pretending to be. But I need Lily to talk to me. To confirm details, provide documentation if she has it. Will you help me reach her? Why should I trust you? Because I'm one of 3 journalists in this city who actually investigates instead of just reporting gossip. And because something about this whole situation stinks of calculated PR manipulation. Rebecca's voice turned serious. Mr. Chen, I think your ex-fiancé is hiding something big, and I think her sister knows what it is. Alexander looked back at the diner where Lily was still sitting alone with her coffee and her packed life. I'll ask her, he said, but the decision is hers. And if she says yes, you protect her. Complete anonymity if she wants it. No ambush interviews, no twisting her words. Deal, Rebecca said immediately. Alexander hung up and realized something. The wedding disaster wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning. The beginning of truth coming out, of justice maybe being served, of building something real instead of just profitable. He went back into the diner. Lily looked up surprised. Change your mind about the job already? She asked. No, but I have another question. He sat back down. How much evidence do you still have? About the factories, the labor violations, all of it? Lily's expression shifted from surprise to understanding. Everything. Documentation, photos, testimonies. I've kept it all these years in case I ever had the courage to go public. She leaned forward. Why? Because I think it's time people knew the truth about your family. The real truth, not Victoria's version. He told her about Rebecca's call. Lily's face went pale. If I do this, there's no going back. Victoria will never forgive me. My parents will disown me completely. The whole family will turn against me. They already have, Alexander said gently. Victoria made sure of that yesterday. The only question is whether you're going to let her control the narrative or tell your own story. Lily stared at her coffee cup, and Alexander could see the years of pain and guilt and conflicted loyalty playing across her face. Finally, she looked up. Okay, she said. Let's burn it all down. The article hit 3 weeks later, and it was devastating. Rebecca Wu didn't just write a story. She wrote an exposé that spanned 12 pages in the Times Sunday edition, complete with photographs, testimony from workers, and documentation that Lily had risked everything to preserve. The headline read, "The Real Martinez Scandal: How One Sister's Conscience Broke a Family Empire." Alexander read it in his office, Tom standing beside him, both of them silent as they absorbed the scope of what Lily had revealed. Factory fires that had been covered up, workers hospitalized for conditions the Martinez family knew about and ignored, children as young as 11 working 16-hour shifts, safety inspectors bribed to look the other way, and at the center of it all, the family that had built a fortune on human suffering. This is bigger than I thought, Tom said quietly. Federal investigation bigger. Criminal charges bigger. Alexander's phone started ringing. The first call was from his father. Have you seen it? His father demanded. Just finished reading. Do you understand what you've unleashed? The Martinez family will come after you with everything they have. They'll claim you manipulated Lily, that this is revenge for the wedding. Let them try, Alexander said calmly. Every word in that article is documented. She has proof, Dad, years of proof. His father was quiet for a moment. Then, surprisingly, his voice softened. That girl gave up everything to do the right thing. 5 years ago and again now. That takes guts. It does, Alexander agreed. Are you in love with her? The question caught Alexander off guard. What? No, I mean I barely know her. You canceled a wedding for her. You're risking your reputation to back her story. You offered her a job when the world thought she was toxic. His father chuckled. Son, I've watched you make calculated business decisions your entire life. This isn't business. This is something else. After hanging up, Alexander found Lily in the conference room they'd converted into a workspace for her. She was staring at her laptop, tears streaming down her face. The article was open on the screen. Hey, Alexander said gently. You okay? My mother just called. She said I'm dead to them, that I've destroyed the family for attention and money. Lily wiped her eyes. My father's lawyer sent a letter threatening to sue me for defamation. And Victoria, her voice broke. Victoria left a voicemail. She said she hopes I'm proud of myself for ruining lives, that everything bad that happens from now on is my fault. Alexander pulled up a chair next to her. You know that's not true, isn't it? There are people who work for my family, good people who just needed jobs. What happens to them if the company collapses? If there are criminal charges and everything falls apart? Those people were working for a company that exploited others. If the Martinez empire falls, ethical companies will hire them. You've actually given them a chance to work somewhere that won't compromise their integrity. Alexander turned her chair to face him. Lily, you didn't ruin lives. You told the truth. Your family ruined lives when they chose profit over people. I know. Logically, I know that. But she's still my sister. They're still my family. Lily's face crumpled. And I just destroyed them. They destroyed themselves, Alexander said firmly. You just finally held them accountable. Over the next week, the fallout was seismic. Federal investigators announced a formal inquiry into the Martinez business practices. 3 board members resigned. Stock prices plummeted. And the media, which had initially painted Lily as a jealous sister, suddenly pivoted to portraying her as a whistleblower and hero, which brought its own problems. They want me on morning shows, Lily told Alexander, scrolling through the dozens of interview requests. Podcasts, news programs, even a book deal offer. Everyone wants to hear my story now. What do you want to do? Alexander asked. Hide, Lily said honestly. I didn't do this for fame or attention. I did it because it was right. But now everyone wants to dissect my relationship with Victoria, psychoanalyze why I left, make me into some kind of symbol. She looked exhausted. I just wanted to help people. That's all I've ever wanted. Then do that, Alexander said. Turn down the interviews. Let the article speak for itself. And focus on the work we're doing here. Because they were doing work, real work. In 3 weeks, Lily had helped Alexander completely restructure his supply chain. She'd connected him with ethical manufacturers, helped him implement fair labor standards, and designed a transparency program that allowed customers to trace exactly where their products came from and who made them. It was costing more. Profit margins were tighter. Some investors had walked away, calling Alexander naive and idealistic, but others had invested more. People who wanted to support ethical business, consumers who were willing to pay extra for products made fairly, and slowly, the company was rebuilding, different but stronger. You're really good at this, Alexander told Lily one evening as they worked late reviewing supplier contracts. Have you thought about making it permanent? Not just consulting, but actually joining the company full-time. Lily looked up from her papers. You're serious? Completely. I want to create a new position. Chief Ethics Officer. Someone who has veto power over any deal that doesn't meet our standards. Someone who keeps me honest. He smiled. Someone who's proven they'll walk away from millions rather than compromise their principles. People will still say I manipulated everything to get here, Lily said. But her voice was thoughtful, not dismissive. Let them. We'll prove them wrong by doing work that actually matters. Alexander hesitated, then added, Besides, you're the only person I trust to tell me when I'm being an idiot. That's worth more than any MBA. Lily laughed, and the sound made something warm bloom in Alexander's chest. Over the past weeks, he'd watched her transform from the terrified woman who'd accidentally walked down the wrong aisle to someone confident and passionate. When she talked about workers' rights or supply chain ethics, her whole face lit up. She was brilliant and dedicated and completely genuine, and he was falling for her. The realization hit him like a truck. He wasn't supposed to fall for her. She was dealing with family trauma and public scrutiny and rebuilding her entire life. The last thing she needed was her boss developing feelings. Alexander? Lily waved a hand in front of his face. You zoned out. You okay? Fine, he said quickly. Just tired. It's late. We should call it a night. As Lily packed up her things, Alexander's phone rang. Victoria. He hesitated, then answered. Hello, Victoria. I hope you're satisfied. Her voice was ice cold. My family's company is being torn apart. My father might face criminal charges. Everything we built is gone. Everything you built on exploitation, Alexander corrected. This didn't have to happen. 5 years ago, Lily gave you all a chance to do better. You chose not to. She's turned you against me completely, hasn't she? Victoria's laugh was bitter. I wondered how long it would take. Poor Alexander, seduced by the noble social worker. Tell me, are you sleeping with her yet, or are you still pretending this is professional? That's enough, Alexander said sharply. I'm not doing this with you. You should know something, Victoria said, her voice turning dangerous. I'm filing a lawsuit against both of you. Defamation. Intentional interference with business relationships, emotional distress. My lawyers say we have a strong case. Your lawyers are desperate, Alexander said. Everything in that article is documented and true. You can't sue someone for telling the truth. We'll see, Victoria said. And Alexander, I'm going to make sure everyone knows that you and my sister planned this from the beginning. That the wrong wedding was staged, that everything was calculated to destroy me and steal my fiancé. By the time I'm done, neither of you will be able to show your face in public. She hung up. Alexander stood there, anger and frustration coursing through him. Lily had paused in the doorway, clearly having heard at least part of the conversation. She's suing us? Lily asked quietly, threatening to. It's just another intimidation tactic. Maybe I should leave, Lily said. Go back to social work, disappear. If I'm not around, she can't claim we're... She couldn't finish the sentence. No, Alexander said firmly. You're not running. We're not doing anything wrong. Victoria can't accept that her actions have consequences, so she's lashing out at everyone else. But we're not giving her that power. Lily nodded, but she looked shaken. I'm scared, Alexander. She's not going to stop. She'll keep coming after us until what? Until we break? Until we give up on doing the right thing just to make her happy? Alexander crossed the room to stand in front of her. Lily, you've already survived losing your family once. You rebuilt your life from nothing. You're the strongest person I know. Don't let her make you doubt that. Lily looked up at him and something shifted in the air between them. They were standing close, closer than professional distance required. Alexander could see gold flecks in her brown eyes, the slight freckle near her temple, the way she bit her lip when she was nervous. "Thank you," she said softly, "for believing me, for helping me, for everything. You don't have to thank me. You've changed my whole life, Lily. You've made me remember what actually matters." They stood there, the office quiet around them, and Alexander knew he should step back. Should maintain boundaries, should be professional. Instead, he said, "Have dinner with me tomorrow." Not a meeting, not business, just dinner. Lily's eyes widened. "Alexander, I know the timing is terrible. I know you're dealing with a million things. I know it looks bad and people will talk and Victoria will use it against us." He took a breath. "But I can't pretend anymore that I don't care about you, that I didn't feel something the moment I saw you walking down that aisle, even when I thought you were someone else. That spending every day with you hasn't been the best part of rebuilding my life." "This is crazy," Lily whispered. "I know. People will say I planned this, that I manipulated everything. I know. Your company is still recovering. My family is imploding. Everything is a mess." "I know," Alexander said again. "And if you say no, I understand. We'll stay professional and I'll never bring it up again. But I had to ask. I had to be honest about how I feel." Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I felt it too that day. When I was walking down the aisle and saw you before I realized the mistake, there was this moment where I thought." She shook her head. "But it doesn't matter what I felt. Everything is too complicated." "Life is always complicated," Alexander said. "The question is whether we let that stop us from being happy." Lily closed her eyes, clearly torn. When she opened them, she said, "Ask me again. In 3 months, when things have settled. When we know if Victoria's lawsuit is real. When we're sure this isn't just adrenaline and shared trauma and—" "3 months," Alexander agreed, even though every instinct screamed at him to kiss her right now, to hell with timing and complications. "But Lily, I'm not going to change my mind. 3 months from now, 6 months, a year, I'll still feel the same way." "You can't know that." "Yes," Alexander said simply. "I can." Lily left, and Alexander stood alone in his office, his heart pounding. 3 months. He could wait 3 months. He'd wait years if that's what it took. His phone buzzed. A text from Tom. "Dude, Victoria's lawsuit is real. Just got served papers. This is about to get very ugly." Alexander looked at the message and couldn't help but smile. Let it get ugly. He'd already lost a fortune, a fiancé, and his carefully controlled life. And somehow, he'd never been happier. 3 months turned into 4, and the lawsuit dragged on like a slow-moving storm. Victoria's lawyers were relentless, filing motion after motion, demanding depositions, trying to prove that Alexander and Lily had conspired to destroy her life. The legal fees were astronomical. The stress was exhausting. And through it all, Alexander and Lily maintained their professional distance even as the world speculated endlessly about their relationship. "Are you seeing the latest?" Tom asked, scrolling through his tablet one morning. "Someone created a whole conspiracy theory thread claiming you two have been secretly dating for years. They've got timeline charts and everything." Alexander didn't look up from his coffee. "Let them theorize. We know the truth." But the truth was getting harder to maintain. Working with Lily every day, watching her light up when they successfully implemented a new ethics program, seeing her dedication to making real change, it was becoming torture. Every accidental brush of hands felt electric. Every late-night working session felt charged with possibility. And Alexander knew Lily felt it too. He caught her watching him sometimes, her expression softening before she'd quickly look away. But she'd asked for time and he was determined to give it to her. The breakthrough in the lawsuit came from an unexpected source. One of Victoria's former assistants, tired of watching her old boss manipulate the legal system, came forward with emails. Dozens of them. Messages where Victoria had explicitly discussed using the lawsuit not to seek justice but to punish and intimidate. Plans to drag out the case to drain Alexander's resources. Strategies to leak false information to the press. The judge was not impressed. In a scathing ruling, he dismissed the entire lawsuit and ordered Victoria to pay Alexander and Lily's legal fees. The Martinez family, already reeling from federal investigations, took another massive hit. "It's over," Lily said, reading the ruling in Alexander's office. "It's actually over. The lawsuit is," Alexander said. "But your family isn't my family anymore. Not really." Lily's voice was sad but resigned. "My mother sent me a letter last week. First contact since the article. She said she understood why I did what I did, but she can't forgive me for the timing. For doing it so publicly. For destroying Victoria's wedding day." She laughed bitterly. "Even now she can't see that the wedding was an accident. That all I wanted was to be there for my sister." Alexander moved to sit beside her on the couch. "I'm sorry, don't be. I've had 5 years to grieve the family I thought I had. This is just confirmation that I was right to walk away." She looked at him. "But you've lost things too. Your perfect reputation, business deals, money. And gained everything that actually matters," Alexander interrupted. "The company is smaller, yes. But it's ethical. Profitable, sustainable. We're doing real good in the world. I sleep at night now. That's worth more than any stock price." "Still," Lily said, "it's been 4 months of hell. Legal battles, media scrutiny, death threats from Victoria's fans." 4 months and 8 days, Alexander corrected. "But who's counting?" Lily's eyes widened. "You remember. I remember everything. The day you asked me to wait. 3 months, you said. It's been 4 months and 8 days. He turned to face her fully. "So I'm asking again. Have dinner with me, Lily. Not as your boss, not as your coworker. As someone who fell for you the day you walked down the wrong aisle and made me realize I was at the wrong wedding." Lily's breath caught. "Alexander, I know we still work together. I know it's complicated. I know people will talk and judge and create conspiracy theories." He took her hand. "But I don't care. I've spent too long living for other people's approval. I want to live for what's real. And this, what I feel for you, is the most real thing in my life. People will say I was after your money all along," Lily said quietly. "Then I'll give it all away. Keep enough to live comfortably. Donate the rest. Start from scratch." He was completely serious. "Lily, I'd trade every dollar I have for one honest conversation with you. One real laugh. One moment of what we have." Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks. "You're crazy. You know that?" "Completely," Alexander agreed. "Crazy about you." "I've been trying so hard not to fall for you," Lily admitted. "Because of work. Because of Victoria. Because I didn't want people to think they were right about me being manipulative. But every single day it got harder. Every time you'd get excited about a new ethics program or stay late to help me review supplier contracts or just brought me coffee the way I like it without asking." She wiped her eyes. "I was falling and fighting it and falling anyway." "So stop fighting," Alexander said softly. "If we do this, everything changes. We can't work together the same way. People will question every decision I make, every promotion, Then you don't work for me anymore," Alexander said. "You work with me. Equal partners. We restructure the company, make you a full partner with equity and decision-making power. Not because of our relationship, but because you've earned it 10 times over. Everything you've done these past months, the programs you've built, the changes you've implemented, that's all you, Lily. Your vision, your passion, your brilliance. Equal partners," Lily repeated, testing the words. "In business and in life. If you'll have me." Alexander's heart was pounding. "I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. I'm just asking for a chance. To date properly. To see if what we feel in stolen moments and working sessions translates to real life. To build something together that's ours." Lily was quiet for so long that Alexander felt his hope start to crack. Then she said, "I have conditions. Anything. We tell HR immediately. Full disclosure, proper protocols. I won't be accused of hiding anything." "Agreed. We keep working separately as much as possible. I don't want people thinking I'm getting special treatment." "Done. And if it doesn't work out, if we realize we're better as friends or partners or just colleagues, we handle it like adults. No drama, no lawsuits, no public battles." "I promise," Alexander said. "Okay," Lily said and smiled through her tears. "Take me to dinner, Alexander Chen." Their first real date was at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, far from the Manhattan social scene. No cameras, no gossip.